in and sit down by my fire here in the Fife Folk Museum in Ceres. My name's Granny Sheila, and I'm going to tell you a story, the kind of story that would be told around firesides like this in days gone by. Now the story I'm going to tell you is a story of a Kelpie. And if you don't know what a Kelpie is, then a Kelpie is a mythical creature that was supposed to have lived in Scotland, lived in the lochs of Scotland. The thing about a Kelpie was that when it was in the loch, it was a horrible, ugly creature. But when it came out onto land, it turned itself into the most beautiful of horses. And it tricked people into getting on its back. And when they did, they found they were stuck. And that was it, as far as they were concerned. Well, this is my story, and it's from the Highlands of Scotland. One day, a bonny young lassie was walking along the shores of Loch Garv, heading for the village, when she spotted a horse. Oh, the bonniest horse she'd ever seen. It was pure white with a long flowing mane and a swishing tail. And she thought to herself, I wonder who that horse belongs to. Maybe if I take it into the village with me, I'll be able to find its owner and, well, there might be a reward. So forgetting all the stories she'd heard and all the advice she'd been given by her granny, she climbed onto that horse's back and, well, she found she was stuck. She couldn't get off again. And immediately the horse began to gallop towards the water's edge. And as she screamed, it dived into the water and took her down, down, down into the murky depths. And when she got to the bottom, the horse turned into the ugliest creature she'd ever seen. And, well, two surprising things happened. The first surprising thing was that she found she could actually breathe under the water. And the second surprising thing was that when she looked at this ugly creature, she fell in love with it. And well, when that horrible creature looked at her, all thoughts of his next meal went out of his head, because you know what? He fell in love with a lassie. Now this was a lassie who was so bonny that all the boys in the village wanted to be her girlfriend. But she had chosen to fall in love with this horrible Kelpie. And so the pair of them set up house together at the bottom of Loch Garv. And they lived happily. But not happily ever after, because after a while, the Kelpie began to realise that his lovely wife was no happy. She started to complain, and she was complaining and moaning every day. Now you might think, what was she complaining about? Was it the fact that she was lonely and didn't have any other humans to talk to? No, it wasn't that. Was she complaining about the fact that she never got anything other than fish to eat, apart from the odd traveller that her Kelpie husband caught? No, it wasn't that either. She was complaining about being cold. She was cold, and she made sure her husband knew that she was cold, and she didn't want to be cold. She didn't like being cold. Well, the Kelpie wanted to make his wife happy. He would do anything for her. So he thought and he thought and he thought, and then he came up with an idea. One day he left the depths of the loch and went out onto the land again, where he turned himself into the wonderful horse. And he galloped off into the village, right up to a house where he knew a stonemason lived. Now this stonemason was thought to be the best stonemason in the whole of the country. And he stood outside the stonemason's house and he pawed at the ground and he whinnied and he neighed until the stonemason got up and came to the window and looked out. And when he saw the lovely horse standing there, he thought to himself, oh, I wonder who that horse belongs to. Maybe if I take it into the town, I'll find its owner. And maybe if I find its owner, there'll be a reward. But although he was honest, he wasn't so honest that he wasn't secretly hoping that he wouldn't be able to find the horse's owner and he'd be able to keep it for himself. So he left the house and, well, forgetting all the old legends, he climbed onto that horse's back. Well, immediately he found that he was stuck and the horse began to gallop towards the loch. Oh, he was shouting and screaming, oh, please, please, please don't drown me, please, 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 I'm too young to die and I've got a wife and children to look after, please, please don't drown me. I'll do anything if you just let me go. But the Kelpie galloped on. He galloped on and he dived into the water. And as they sunk to the bottom of the loch, the poor stonemason felt his lungs burning. He just knew he was going to be drowned. But to his surprise, when he got to the bottom, he found he could breathe. And then this Kelpie that had now turned into the ugly creature again turned to him and said, all right then, I'll accept your offer. Well, this stonemason was surprised. What did he mean? What do you mean, my offer? Your offer to do anything for me? Oh, right, well, he was a bit worried about what he was going to be asked to do, but he said, well, all right then, what do you want me to do? I want you to build me a fireplace. A fireplace, said the stonemason, but I can't make fire burn underwater. No, I'll take care of the burning fire. All I want you to do is to build the fireplace. Well, the stonemason agreed, and for the next few days he spent his time gathering all the stones he could find on the bottom of the loch, and he built a fireplace, a great big fireplace with a long chimney going right up to the top of the loch. And when it was finished, he looked at it and he said, you know, that's the most magnificent fireplace I've ever built. And he was right. It was beautiful. It was all carved stones and magnificent pillars, and even the Kelpie thought it was the best he'd ever seen. And he was so happy that he said that he would save the stonemason's life. He would let him go. And the Kelpie's wife, well, she was so happy. She said she would never ask for anything ever again. And when his wife was happy, the Kelpie was happy. So not only did he let the stonemason go, he promised that he would keep him in fish. He would make sure he had enough fish to feed him for the rest of his days. And so the stonemason went home, and the Kelpie and his wife, as far as I know, are still living happily ever after at the bottom of Loch Garv. And how do we know? Well, there's a little bit of the loch that never freezes. And the people say that that's because right underneath is the Kelpie's fireplace. And that's the story of the Kelpie of Loch Garv. Thank you for listening.